Hello, everybody, and welcome to Indie Artist Interviews. Today, I bring you Jamie Lindberg. She is an author, and she currently has one book out. Jamie, take it away.
Hi guys. I have one book out. It's called My Wish. It is a kind of a heart book of mine. A story that I've kind of always wanted to write. Started writing it a long time ago. Long time ago. Um, but it is part of a series. So book two is coming out. Hopefully by the end of May, but we'll see how that all goes. Um, yeah, I live in Georgia, and the book is kind of based in Georgia, small town life in Georgia. So if you know the area, it's kind of fun to pick up on little key landmarks throughout the story. It's kind of fun to pick up on like the locations that are kind of mysteriously hidden because I never actually name cities or direct places. I just insinuate the area if you know what that means. Um, but yeah, it's about a girl who has always wanted to get out of the small town that she lives in. Once she does, because her favorite band comes into town, she realizes that maybe what she always thought she needed in life wasn't what she actually needed. So it really is, it's categorized as a, romantic comedy, contemporary romance, but I really have always pushed the side of it being more of a contemporary story about finding out who you are, finding out what you really need in life. And then, of course, the romance is thrown in, but it really is more about friendships and love and life
So,
as
so
you
like
are
a
born into.
like a found family type thing. I believe that's one of
Definitely.
the one
Yeah.
of the scripters that you put on one of your videos. Um,
Yeah, it is very much found family. It is very much strong female friendships. It is very much discovering who you are meant to be and who you are. Um, the main character is adopted. So there is that strewn throughout the entire story as well. She's kind of really trying to understand a lot more about who she is and not what she's born into.
Okay. What brought about the idea of making her adopted? Was it a choice, or is it something that you bring in from your everyday life? Uh,
It is something I bring in from my personal life. I am adopted. So
oh,
a lot of the main characters' attributes come straight from me, which is not something I typically tell people just because there's a lot of who Alyssa is that is not me at all.
mm,
Um, but when I started the story, I was only about 19, and so I was very much write what you know, um, and strewn in the parts that you want your life to be. If that makes sense, I kind
of
of
course,
started it as a way
you
to escape.
you wrote your dream. You wrote a.
Basically,
I remember doing that when I was younger, where I was a bit more immature about it because I was writing when I was like 14. I was like, man, what if a wizard just told me I was magic? And it was.
basically, yep, yeah. I mean, this is like it's basically that, like what if your favorite guitarist in the world showed up at the bar you work at and whisked you away to another life?
I mean,
What if?
okay, so I am. Here's the thing. Here's my thing. Um, I'm seeing some parallels to an AO3 board where young women would write stories of One Direction coming and whisking them away.
I've had a couple of people relate it back to that, yes, like
Just
a fan fiction
but
type of thing. Yes.
what was your favorite band that was out when you started writing this? When you picture the music in that in your head, what is the style? What band were you listening to?
So I grew up on Jonas Brothers.
Of course.
I did grow up during the time of One Direction. I did grow up during the time of 5 Seconds of Summer, the Vamps, pretty much all of those groups together. I'm a little bit past Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. That was a little bit
Before
too
your
far
time.
back for me to really like. I love them. I love them, but yeah, I really grew up on Jonas Brothers. I grew up on 5 Seconds of Summer, One Direction, and the Vamps. Like they were pretty high up there. I'm not gonna lie, but I've had quite a few people relate it back to like the Wattpad fan fiction days where you could insert yourself into any story and pretend like Harry Styles or Zayn or somebody was whisking you away to wherever. Um,
Wasn't there one the one that I always think back was they didn't just whisk this young girl away, they kind of bought her, and it was like they
yeah,
that like I never read it, but I heard about it like through osmosis.
my mom sold me to One Direction or
That's the
whatever.
one
I
I was
definitely,
thinking of. I'm like,
yes.
goodness, how bad
There
of a
were some
mother do you have to
crazy stories out
Mhm.
there. There were some crazy fan fictions
And I
back in the time, in the
here's
days
the
of
thing,
all that.
the 2000s and 2010s, it was all about young women getting whisked away by love interests that either they already loved or will come to love very quickly.
Or they
Uh
hated,
huh.
but yeah, it was
Now, here's
that was
my
a big
thing.
one too.
I
It was like, oh no.
I misspoke and I said that it was 2000s, 2010s. That's been going on for a long time with women
I
wanting to
think
be
it's been,
whisked
yeah,
away. And what
yeah.
do you, why? I was about to ask a dumb question. Why are women always fantasizing about being whisked away to a better life? And I was like, wait a minute. I know why. Sexism.
I mean, maybe that answer could come to you on your own, but
No,
I do
here's
think that it has to do with wanting things that are outside of your grasp,
mhm.
honestly, or thinking that it's outside of your grasp.
Very, very fair. And also wanting to, I think it's an unconscious thing, uh, wanting to be desirable to someone that you
Mhm.
see as above you, type of thing,
I think
or
that has a
putting
lot to do with
yourself, or putting yourself on the same level as someone that you admire. Uh,
yeah, thinking that somebody that is outside of your realm of comfort would actually notice you,
mhm.
would actually see you as an equal. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and also I stop. Why why Stockholm syndrome? I'm not saying that this is what's happening in your book. A lot of these books have Stockholm syndrome uh, qualities to it. Beauty and the Beast. That's always a go-to one with Stockholm syndrome. The ones where you get sold to a band or you get kidnapped by the masked crusader and you're the princess and he's holding you for ransom so the war can end, but now you see that he's actually really nice to all the people, all the
He was
peasants that you
actually
were
a good
never
guy.
gonna. Yeah, he was actually a good guy and he just kidnapped you for the greater good. And you see his heart of gold, and he's dangerous with everybody else, but he's soft with you.
Yeah. I think that that has a lot to do with, honestly, I think it has to do with the narcissistic tendencies that a lot of women grow up with.
Mm,
The males in their lives are very narcissistic, making them believe things that aren't necessarily true.
mm,
Stockholm syndrome has definitely not been like one of the tropes that I've ever been drawn to, but that's
fair,
probably just because of the way that I was raised and brought up.
very fair.
Um, but yeah, it is a very popular trope for sure.
And
I
something
think
that
it definitely no,
go
it
on.
definitely just shows the just the female being drawn towards this narcissistic character usually.
Hmm.
Um, and if you really dig down deep in a lot of those stories, he's still a bad guy. He may do good things or may be a good guy with her,
Hmm.
but he's still not a good person.
Edward and Bella.
Exactly. Like, still kills things and people and
He
all
still
the,
kills things, people. He reads people's
Yeah.
minds. He sees everyone else as disgusting and dirty, and the only reason
Yeah.
he's interested in her is because he can't read her thoughts.
That's literally the only reason.
You're
Like,
the
there's
only
no
person
real
who's a
reason.
mystery to me.
Yeah, and because I don't know everything about you already, you interest me. That's literally it.
That's it. Also, a trope that comes up a lot is these women being enthralled by a man who is part of a rebellion. And I feel
Yeah.
like that fantasy comes from the wanting to find a man who's willing to go against the status quo. I sound very, very performative male right now. I'm trying my best not to, but I these are very basic, skimming the surface type of tropes that I see in these books, where you want a man who's willing to stand up for what's right, even if the rest of society is against him. You want him to be
Yep.
dangerous and can protect you, but while he's mean and dangerous to everyone else, he would never
Yeah.
hurt you. Because you're
Yep.
special. He's also a secret prince or a secret lord.
It's like the protector trope.
Mm-hmm.
The literally he hates everyone but me. And I do think
Fair.
that as women, that is a good feeling sometimes. Like, oh no, he literally only loves me.
Mm.
But that also, I think, comes from a place of feeling like nobody loves you or nobody worth loving in return loves you.
Oh, that
So
breaks my heart. Women, there's someone out there. You don't have to date the
there
asshole
is,
that's someone that's nice to you. It's okay to
you
find
don't have to
someone who's
stay with
nice to
somebody.
everyone.
Yeah, and you don't have to stay with somebody who makes you believe those things. Like, just recognize the signs. We can read about them all day long, but you don't have to stay with somebody in real life like that.
Very fair. I'm going to step down from the soapbox for a moment. Uh,
Okay.
what tropes do you have in your book, in My Wish?
So in my book, there's definitely found family tropes.
Mm-hmm.
There are strong female friendships. There is the
Speak to
love triangle trope that is very popular or not popular. Some people love it, some people hate it. Um,
honestly, it it seems contrived in a lot of things because there's an obvious who's going to get with who type thing, but
mhm.
is there a way that you've navigated the oh god the love triangle? How have you navigated that?
So I do think that my book is a little bit different in the way that it portrays the love triangle because there is there's a clear interest and then there is the other one, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. There's always going to be, I feel like in most stories that have love triangles, there's a he falls first trope for one of the two males, if it's two males and a female. I do think that my story kind of has the reverse
Mm-hmm.
of that. Um, the main character has low key been in love with this one guy for years and years and years from afar because obviously he was unattainable. He was in this massive band, he was traveling the world,
Mm-hmm.
but
And he's
has never
Irish.
ever even viewed the other one. But the other one kind of surprises her in other ways. So I don't think that my book is super clear cut on which one she ends up with. And then in the end of the book, without giving anything away, it is very much a wait, what moment. So, and it may not be for the reasons that most people think it is. Like, it's not, oh, she chose this one over this one. There's reasons that she chooses one or the over the other
And then
more than just her
they
heart.
all have just a three-way kiss at the end.
I mean, in some books, yes.
Just all
Yeah.
cheek to cheek, just meeting in the
All
middle.
cheek to cheek. Everybody's
Yep,
just all in one there. Yeah.
yep, yep. What an
Yeah.
unpleasant idea.
Not for me. I'll put it's not for me. Yeah.
Fair, fair.
But yeah, I do think that my book has some twists in it that kind of negate the stereotypical love triangle effect.
That's good. That's good. I enjoy authors that I enjoy authors that lean into tropes and go hog wild with them because that's fun.
Hmm.
But when I see the criticism of love triangles are supposed to be kind of a mystery, and
Hmm.
you shouldn't see the end of the mystery from the beginning. And I feel that
Yeah.
that's the pitfall that a lot of these will they, won't they type stories go for. Uh, like that new movie that came out. I haven't seen the movie yet, but all three of them are dead, and she's trying to figure out which one of her husbands to go live with for eternity.
Yeah.
Is it My Eternity? What is it called?
I think so. I think it's My Eternity, and it looks pretty good.
I have seen it, but I feel like there's a clean cut one because he's her first love who died, but then she was
Yeah.
with him for 50 years. Which one
Yeah.
do I go for? The one that I knew for,
The one that you were with for like 2 months or something, or the one that you were with for 50 years.
because it's not like he's
Yeah.
the one that got away. He's the one that died, which can be very sad and
He
very
died. She
traumatizing.
probably would have never remarried or never fallen in love again had he still been here, type of thing.
But then it's you found someone that maybe you didn't get over the other guy, but you found someone that you loved enough to put the other guy in the past. And then you
Exactly.
had an entire life and children and everything. And I'm like, who's
Children
gonna
and grandchildren and all the, yeah.
to me, that seems obvious. You can be with that guy, the guy that you lived a life with. You don't go after Mr. Thrills over there because you had a fling with, because 2 months or 2 years compared to 50, like, I don't know. That I feel like it would be very insulting if someone went with their first love rather than the person that they made a life with.
Yeah. I mean, to argue that point though,
Go on.
if, if your first love was your true love
Mm.
and they died, and then you did love again, but maybe you never loved as hard as you did. I'm not saying that it's right. And I'm not saying that, if you've built a life with somebody and you've been with them for 50 years, obviously they should hold the same level of, respect from you, love from you
Mhm.
in your heart. But, there's probably always that question of what if, like, what if they didn't die? What if they were still here? And then, the life that you built with somebody else because you had to, in a way, or because, you didn't have another option,
See, I was bringing
you
this up
know,
as an example as like a bad way to do the trope, but I guess with this discussion, it can be a very good way. I'm judging something that I haven't seen, which is an issue that I have sometimes. I judge books by their covers. Speaking of covers, why just the words? What is the words "my wish" about?
so I think in the beginning, the name kind of showed, she's 21, 22 years old. She's always wanted to get out. Like her wish in life was to get out. But what if that wish, that dream isn't what she actually wants? She just had to go through it before she realizes that. So I think my wish kind of shows that, yeah, this book was like, every girl's dream. It's every girl's wish,
Mm.
like to get out, to be seen, to be heard, to live the life of, a rock star, girlfriend, whatever. But what if that isn't what we actually want? Um, by the end of the book, she has a new wish. She has a new dream. There is something that happens that makes her kind of realize that, maybe getting out of the town that I've always been in wasn't what I needed. So I think my wish just kind of goes back to be careful. I mean, even on the book it says, be careful what you wish for because it's
Yeah.
not always what you'll get. Um, and then book two, kind of playing into my wish, is wishful dreaming. The second book is called Wishful Dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same in that way, it's like my wish, yeah, but then wishful dreaming. Like, are your dreams what you actually wish for, or are they just wishful dreaming?
And then book three, The Daydream's Wish.
Yeah, I do. That would be a good one, though. But I do already have book three and book four plotted. So it is going to
Ooh.
be a 4-book series.
You see, authors, think ahead. Think all the way ahead. I'm only on chapter 2 of my book that I'm writing, but I have 4 books in mind, like a 4-book series in mind
Yeah.
for it already. So think ahead, authors. Also,
Yeah. If you
love
think
the
and plan
naming
ahead,
scheme.
what is it?
The naming scheme that you have, where you're sticking with the wish and the fantasy. I said daydream as a joke, but like it's literally like the daydreams of a young woman of
Yeah.
being desired, being chosen over everyone else because you're a rock star. You could have had anyone. You could have had any of your fans, but you chose me, the person that works at a bar.
Like, what makes me special? What makes me different? Yeah.
Do they have, I don't want you to spoil too much, but in my head there is a tearful kind of yelling match between her and him where he's just like, I just want you, and she's like, why do you want me, what makes me so special, why? And then he goes on to like this speech as to why she's special. I always like those in stories where just blunt communication between the two main characters. Where
Blunt communication, blunt honesty, blunt
exactly,
feelings being expressed. Yeah.
exactly.
There's definitely some of that. I'm not going to say in what, manner, but there is definitely a good amount of that once, you know, once
Okay.
things play out the way they're supposed to play out.
Mm. Okay. Is there anything else about your book that you want to disclose? Because if not, we can move on to the artist questions. The 6 artist questions.
Um,
Where can people find your book? Let's go with that.
yeah. You can find my book on Amazon. You can find it on Kindle. You can find it. I'm in the Atlanta area, a little bit outside of Atlanta. So you can find it in quite a few local bookstores, to
Ooh.
Atlanta, to Marietta, Woodstock, Kennesaw, Ackworth. A lot of North Georgia has it.
I'll show a map.
And then
Bam.
yeah, show a map. They're everywhere. And then I do have a website that you can order it off of as well.
And I'll throw that up
Book
on the
by
bottom here. Bam. Map up top,
Awesome. Cool.
website at the bottom. Give myself
Yeah, I
something to do.
working on getting it into Barnes and Noble. Hopefully, um, pretty
Everyone's
soon it'll be
dream.
there. And then in the next month, it should also be on Audible as well.
Ooh,
Audible and wherever audiobooks are sold.
that is so cool. Who's the audio? Who's the narrator?
Kate Clover.
Ooh.
She is one of my really good friends that I actually made through the book talk community,
Hell
Instagram,
yeah.
everything else. So Kate Clover is the female narrator, but my book is also a dual point of view. So it is a male female point of view. So
Yes.
Jarman Day is the male narrator. He's also on TikTok and Instagram and all the things. Both are
Hmm.
amazing. Both deserve so much credit for all of this. They do such a great job. I'm so excited for the
That
finished product to be out there.
well, that's fantastic. Okay, so we're going to get into these art questions. Question number 1. What gives you the most motivation to create, and how do you stay invested?
So the reason I create the motivation I have behind writing, when I was younger, it was definitely to escape the life I had.
Mm.
Um, which I think is pretty standard for a lot of authors. I think that's kind of a pretty basic answer. Like you're trying to create a world in which you would rather be. Um,
Escapism is
it's
one of the biggest motivators for creativity.
it is, yes. As far as what like keeps me motivated, it would probably be just the idea of being able to tell my kids that you can do anything. It doesn't really matter um, how long it took you to start. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to finish. You just have to believe in yourself enough to make it happen. And I think that like relaying that message to kids, especially like, when my daughter was born and she had autoimmune diseases, she has some genetic conditions. She'll be 6 this year. She can't go to school. She can't use the bathroom by herself. There's a lot of things going on with her that are probably going to be like lifelong like issues that she deals with.
Mhm.
But I really wanted her to know that she could do anything she put her mind to, and I didn't want her to see that, oh well, mom stopped doing things she loved doing because just because she had kids or just because you know she felt like other things were more important. If you love doing something, I think the motivation should be you continue to do it, because without doing what you love, you're never going to feel as fulfilled in life, I don't think. And I want my kids to know that you can do anything you want to do if you believe in yourself enough.
You're being a proper example of motivation for your children. And also, I love what you said because there is no expiration date for creativity. There is no, oh, I'm 50 years old. I can't make it anymore because you can 100%.
Yeah.
A lot of people, some of the best authors are older folks because they have more life experience. To write what you know, you kind of need to know a lot, or else the book's going to be really, really small.
You just have to trust yourself enough to know that, if this is something that you love and something that is worth putting out into the world, then there's going to be people that want to read it and people that feel the same way. Read it, see it, experience it, whatever the art is. Um,
Find
and
your
just, you
niche.
need to be able to find your niche, you need to be able to find your people, and you need to be able to trust in yourself as much as you trust in others to love what you do.
So, so you would say that one, the interest in escapism when you were younger was a motivation to create, but to stay invested, your children and being an example for them is what
Hmm.
keeps you creating. I like that a lot because I told you before the call, before we started recording, one of my main motivations is wanting to make this into a career so I can be a stay-at-home dad as much as possible because I also have a special needs child who I hate having to leave every single morning. And every time I get a
Yeah.
call from my wife, I'm always like, up. Oh, this is the time where I pick up the phone and my wife says, up, Opal's gone. Opal, or we got to run
Yeah.
to the hospital. She's in an ambulance. Um,
Yeah.
it's never fun to have that anxiety, and I would love. I find that to be my motivation more and more every day to do stuff like this, to do the interviews, to make videos, because there is a career in all of this.
Yeah.
Um, but we can move on. Question number two: what has had the most influence over your style?
I do think that music has had a lot of influence over my style. I am just as much into music as I am writing. Um,
Hmm.
I think that ever since I was a little kid, music may have been more important than writing and reading and these magical worlds, because for me, I can escape into a song or I can escape into an album just as easily as some people can escape into a book. So I think that music has a big impact on what I write and how I write it. um
Is there do you have a playlist? I know that authors have playlists for their writings, but is there a playlist that goes along with your book?
There is, yeah. So in the back of my book, there is a typed out like playlist, Alyssa's playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have a link to a Spotify playlist as well that I use when writing and creating the stories. Now, Spotify playlist goes along with the book series, not
Mm-hmm.
just this particular book. But in the back of each of the books, there is, I think there's a 20 song playlist, I believe it is, in the back of My Wish. Or you can go to the link in my, I think it's on my website. I think it's on my link tree, all the different things for the Spotify playlist. Because, yeah, music plays a big role in how I write, when I write, where I write, just everything.
See, that's the issue that I've been having recently with my series. I when I would write short stories and stuff, I would have a single song that I would base the short story on, and I would listen to that over and over and over as I was writing, and I'm like, I can't find a musical vibe for what I'm going for with this book series. So I do have a playlist that I have labeled Hydra, but it doesn't fit exactly, and it's been very frustrating. But what kind of music is on the playlist?
There is so much on that playlist. There's a lot of pop, there's rock, there's a little bit of country, not a lot of country, that's not really the vibe.
Mm.
But there is a lot of very heartfelt, very emotional songs. Because while book one is more of a comedy, the rest of the series kind of starts to delve into not a comedy. Let me back that up. It's not a comedy, but it has a lot of humorous moments in it. But underlying very, very like deep and hard questions, I think, that like the main character deals with, especially like,
Mm.
who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? That is underlying throughout the whole book. So the songs that are on the playlist, a lot of them go along with, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? But there's also, some boy band esque songs on there. There's a lot of, fun dance songs because they are, traveling with a rock group. So there's lots of that fun stuff that goes along with it.
Music obviously affected your style a lot. Now, I find that to be a fairly common sentiment for artists because for some reason
Mhm.
in the human brain, music is wired to everything. And I want to know
It
where
is.
that comes from. Why are we so attracted to rhythm? But I'm not a scientist, so I'll never
I'm
know.
not a scientist either. I wish I could answer that question.
That'd be fan.
That is a tough question, though.
John Green, Green Brothers. Answer the question. Why are we interested in rhythm and music? Why can't we just be
Somebody in that,
interested in the
yeah, somebody there out
words?
there needs to, yeah.
Anyways, question number 3. If you could have one person publicly talk about your art, who would you want?
Ooh, this one was harder. Obviously, this is going to be a really random answer, but I do think that one person I would love to talk about would be Lottie Tomlinson.
I don't
You
know who that
probably don't
is.
even know who that is.
No idea.
So she is the sister of Louis Tomlinson, who was in One Direction back in the day.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, but Lottie has since started a family. She, obviously she's grown up. Everybody's grown up. But I do think that the massive following that One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer, all of them had, this book would appeal to a lot of those people.
Mm.
And Lottie is very supportive of um, artists and creators. And she, like, ever since the One Direction days, she was very supportive of, like, the fan fictions and all that stuff. So I do think that if Lottie were to talk about my book, I do think that it would definitely get it out there. It would definitely get it to the right reader, if that makes sense.
Very. All right, Lottie, look at her book. Every, Everyone tag Lottie in the comments. If this clip is on TikTok, tag her in the comments. Uh, okay, so question number 4. Tell me why this book matters to you. You've touched on this in the conversation, but why definitively does this work matter to you?
I think in a way it is kind of unofficially my story, like if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it isn't my story because of the massive amount of fiction that is in the book, but almost every single character in this book is based off of somebody that I know or have known um, in my lifetime. Um, and then a lot of the facts in the story about the main character and about the friendships that she has are all very true, very real facts about myself and about the people that these characters are based off of. Um, so I think it's important to me because, I mean, I wrote this book 10 years before I published it.
Mm.
Um, so I think that like being able to put that out there because there are parts in there that like they're pretty personal, if that makes sense. But being able to put it out there for other people to read, it kind of like gave me the courage, you know, if I can do this, then other people can too. And, you know, I can keep going. I can keep writing about this.
You you see it as um, being an inspiration and putting out your story so that people who are like you don't feel so alone. Is that what you're getting at?
I do. I also feel like I do feel like especially with the people being so alone, like there's not a lot of books about characters that touch on the adoption
Mm.
like trope, if that is a trope.
I
There
think that's just
have
a
never
fact of
been a
life.
lot of books. Yeah, I mean it's just a fact. It's not a very common thing
Mm-hmm.
and it's not really something that people talk about. So I think that when the main character kind of talks about dealing with how it feels to be adopted, even into a great family, you know, like because I think a lot of the times when you hear about the adoption angle, it's bad, it's terrible, it's been, you know, this really hard part of their life.
It's the
I
Harry
think
Potter
that
of it
we
all.
it is, yeah, it's the Harry Potter. It's kind of like the books we were talking about earlier where it's like, oh, they sold me for this, that, or the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what about when someone is adopted into a family that is not a bad family, it's a good family, and it really was better for you to have been adopted? You know, you definitely lived a better life, but you still have these feelings of, well, why wasn't I good enough? Why wasn't I just kept by my birth family? So it touches on a lot of that too. Um, but I feel like, yeah, that's just not it's not talked about a lot. So I do think that this is kind of my way of talking about it because it was never something I wanted to talk about either.
Well, that is very. I don't want to say sad, but I'm glad that you found an outlet for that. I'm glad that you are speaking to that truth that you have experienced yourself and shining a light on it that it's not just a story trope. It's not just something that you can throw into a book just to add some spice. These are experiences that people actually have to go through. These are experiences that you have gone through where you have these questions about, yes, I'm having a good life because of these people, but also, why couldn't I have a good life with the people who gave birth to me?
Hmm. That a lot of times when you hear about it or when people talk about it, it's because they were adopted later in life or they were adopted out of a situation that was harmful or, you know, a almost a harder situation than just being adopted at birth because your birth family decided to give you up.
Hmm.
Um, you really don't ever hear about what it's like for those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that
But hey,
kind of,
you wrote a book about it. Everyone go read it so that you can
yeah,
understand that experience, because it is important that people who have gone through these unique hardships, these unique uh not traumas, I don't want to say traumas, but
yeah,
uh those stories are important because they are possibly few and far in between, but also commonly overlooked. Okay,
yes.
let's step back from the heavy. Uh, Question number
Yeah.
5: when you envision your work, what medium do you visualize it in?
I mean, obviously book form,
Okay, yes.
but I do think that it would make a really good TV show.
Okay, so you
Um,
see it as episodic.
I do, yes. I don't see it as a movie. I don't see it as film. If it were to be on screen, I see it very, very much like TV show format because there's just too many details. There's too much like that you would have to cut out if you did it in a movie. Um, I've seen them do it too many times to too many really good books.
I do believe that most books should be TV shows because, again, like you said, there's too many details. There's too many
I agree.
things that you're going to be left out. But here's my other thing. This is a hot take. I think that most fantasy books should be uh, animated TV shows. Don't do live actions. Stop it with the live actions. The magic looks garbage. Let's continue. And we're on to our last question. All of these have been good answers so far. Let's see if you can bring it out as round 6. How long have you been creating, and how
No
long have
pressure.
you how long have you been creating, and how long have you worked on this project?
I have been writing since I was about 8 years old.
Mm,
Um, I have short stories. I have long stories. I wouldn't call them novels quite yet. From the time I was 8 years old, notebooks and notebooks full of them.
mm-hmm,
This story I started writing in 2016.
mm-hmm,
Um, but like I said, it was finished in 2016. And I put it aside because life. I already had, in 2016, I already had a 3 year old.
good.
Um, I, yeah, I had a child very young, but I already had a 3 year old. And at the time, it was a way for me to kind of escape the life that I had, create a new life that I wanted. So I wrote it and finished it in 2016 and did not pull it back out until 2024, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I decided I'm going to put this out. I want people to read it. And it took, 6 to 8 months for editing and publishing and creating the book itself and understanding how to self-publish a book, understanding how to market a book. I still am trying to figure out how to market books. It is a tough,
It's
that
a
is the
tough
hardest
market,
part.
but
But
I'm hoping that this helps a little bit.
I'm hoping it does. Yeah, I do. It but the book it only took me a year, but I technically, since I put it aside for so long, it was 8 years before I did anything with it. So, it was published in May of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And book two, I had already started it back in 2016, 2017. I had not finished it. It was about halfway finished. It is finished now, obviously. Um, but in finishing that one, I realized there's more to the story that needs to be told. So it's going to be a 4 book series. So I guess the answer is like 9 years if you
Close
want to take the giant break into consideration.
close to a decade. Hey, getting to a place where you can
Yeah.
publish the work, that's part of the process. Like, even if you did set it down for a little bit, that life experience that you got led up to this. So that, yeah, I'd say that that's part of it. Okay.
I do think it's funny because like when I wrote it originally, I definitely had a different life perspective.
Mhm.
And then when I was going through and editing and fleshing out the story before it went to publishing, my perspective had changed a good bit. So even though like the story is written from Alyssa's point of view, like I wasn't really in the same point of view as Alyssa was back in 2016. So I kind of had to adapt to like, okay, well, book two is obviously going to have to be a little bit of a time hop because I can't write like I'm a 19, 20-year old anymore. I have to be an adult.
Fair.
So I do think that it's crazy when you pick up a book that you've been working on for so long that you have set aside, how hard it is sometimes to get back into that same headspace that you were in when you wrote the book originally.
Well, I mean, you're always progressing, you're always changing, so it makes sense that setting something down and picking it back up, you'll have a different mindset, but you still want to tell the same story. Um, and I'm sure that you're going to handle the time skip very well.
I hope I do. I'm not gonna skip like 10 years or anything crazy, but it is
Oh
gonna be a
no, they
couple years, and
60 years later.
60 years later, we're just gonna skip through the entire life. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They die, and then they're up in heaven, and they have to choose
And
who
then
to be with.
yep,
But, yep. And they
yep,
spent their entire lives just being a love triangle where she's bouncing between them over and over.
bouncing back and forth. Yep.
And they all died on
Oh.
vacation. See, they were going on a love triangle vacation. The plane went down, and now they got to choose. But
And now
secret
they
third
got to
option.
choose. Now it's
But
final choice. Yep.
it's the final choice. God said so. Well, thank you for coming on. This has been fun and
No
interesting, and
problem.
uh, I can't wait to
Thank you
have.
for having me.
I can't wait to have some extra cash to put your book on one of my bookshelves that I want to put up behind me. Because I do plan on
I
reading.
mean,
Audience, I do plan on reading all of the books that I interview the authors of because that's just polite to do. And you should too. If you're watching this video, you're contractually obligated to buy her book. I will sue you. No. But again, thank you
here's
for coming
hoping.
on.
I mean, don't sue anybody, but thank you for having me.
uh, again, you guys can go get her book, My Wish, on from her website, from Amazon. It's going to be on Audible. You can get it on Kindle if you're one of those old people that use one of those. Um, anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope that you come back next week for the next interview. Uh, bye bye.